Back on July 15, 2012, this shady video hit YouTube, and in just a few days, it somehow united the entire fucking planet. And now over 5.5 billion people have watched it without having the slightest clue about its insanely deep and straight up disgusting hidden meaning.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Oppan Gangnam Style.
At the start of the clip, there's already this bridge and some ducks. They're gonna give you straight up chills right now, but we'll circle back to that creepiness in a sec. So what even is Gangnam? Here's Gangnam, the bougie district in Southeast Seoul, basically the Korean version of the Beverly Hills. This is where loaded trust fund kids and flexers blow insane stacks on wild parties, dripping in Gucci bags and Cartier watches. But at the same time, the place is crawling with posers who can barely afford a Starbucks latte, let alone actual Gucci. These people literally skip meals and starve themselves just to cop that overpriced coffee and stroll through the fancy neighborhood looking like they belong. And that's exactly what Gangnam Style is all about, skimping hard on the basics just to flex on the luxury shit. That's the vibe. Psy, the K-pop king himself, is straight up clowning in the track. He's singing about that stylish chick who's out here living her best free life with a fancy coffee in hand, and the dude who slams his cup before it even gets cold like he's too cool to let it chill. But yo, what happens when you straight up can't afford that Gangnam drip? When the cash is so low you can't even fake the style? Let's loop back to that bridge and those ducks from the clip. Super symbolic, right? Turns out they're straight up ripped from the real ones, painted on the pillars at the base of Mapo Bridge, one of South Korea's biggest tourist spots. Yeah, the same Mapo Bridge that's infamous as the Bridge of Death. Back in the peak pandemic years around 2019, people were jumping off that thing literally twice every single day. They've got emergency phones every 100 yards hooked straight to psychologists, multiple CCTV cams on every pole watching everything, and this wild AI program that scans every single move you make, crunches the odds of you being suicidal, and calls in emergency crews if it thinks you're about to catapult yourself. They renamed the whole thing the Bridge of Life to try and flip the script, but come on, no amount of wordplay changes the vibe. At the end of the day, it's still the bridge for people who just couldn't keep up with that Gangnam lifestyle flex. This country's economic glow-up is straight facts, but the cost is low-key terrifying. They're the world goats of self-deletion, binge drinking, clout chasing, and racism. It's basically unhinged politics, tossed in a blender with a demographic crash and 24/7 depression, all hidden behind iced-out skyscrapers, snatched plastic surgery faces, and flex-heavy whips with custom rims. This is Korea. A fully fueled, technically perfect Korean airplane is taxiing for takeoff when it suddenly does a full 180 on the runway and heads right back to the gate. What the fuck happened? This chick's name is Heather Cho, daughter of the airline's big boss owner. That day, she's chilling in first class, and right before pushback, a flight attendant hands her a sealed bag of macadamia nuts. Boom! In that split second, some demon possesses her. How dare this low-life peasant not serve the nuts on a fancy white plate? You think I'm gonna eat dusty-ass nuts straight from a bag like some fucking peasant? Heather Cho loses it, smacks the flight attendant with her Apple tablet, then forces another crew member to drop to their knees and beg for forgiveness on the spot. You'd think that's enough drama, but nah, Heather's just getting started. By her royal command, they turn the whole damn plane around with 250 passengers on board, roll up the jet bridge, and within minutes the entire cabin crew is humiliated, fired on the spot, and sent packing home like trash. The story started blowing up fast, people were straight up pissed and losing their minds online. But Korean Air came out swinging with this pathetic defense. Heather Cho is in charge of the company's service standards, so she was just doing her job. Bruh, except the company handbook has zero mention of fucking up flight attendants, with an iPad being part of service standards, and there's literally not a single line saying nuts have to come on a fancy plate. Regular Koreans were livid, like full-on rage mode. Massive boycott kicked off, people refused to fly Korean Air, and the airline took a gigantic financial hit, bleeding dough left and right. On top of that, the humiliated flight attendant said, "Nah, we're not taking this shit," and slapped the company alongside the spoiled bitch with lawsuits. Smelling her roasted nuts, Daddy stepped in and forced Heather go public to apologize for her tantrum, and here's how that pathetic shit show went down.
I sincerely apologize for causing everyone trouble. Please forgive me.
Overall, this whole mess counts as a serious violation of aviation safety rules, like the kind of shit that can easily land you 5 to 10 years in prison in most places. But Heather, this little bitch gets slapped with just 1 year, and she barely serves a couple months before walking fucking free. At first glance, it looks like a typical spoiled daddy's fucking princess gone wild story, but nah, the real disease here runs way deeper, and it's called Chaebol. To really get what Chaebol means on the deepest level, we gotta start way back here. Check this map of the clashes between South and North Korea. The Korean War, or as they call it locally, the 625 War, kicks off right along the so-called 38th parallel. It drags on for 3 brutal years, wipes out around 3 million lives, swings wildly with one side clearly dominating at first, then the other side flipping the script and owning it, only for everything to end up right back where it fucking started. Literally the exact same 38th parallel. Pointless and fucking bloody. That's the most dead-on way to sum up the 625 War. By the time the artillery party was over, South Korea found itself in a fucking shithole. Back then, nearly all the real economy on the peninsula was concentrated up north. That's where nearly every industrial plant was, all minerals and coal, and like 80% of the electric capacity. Whatever scraps of infrastructure the South had left, war basically wiped them clean, bombed to shit, gone. On top of that, the population was straight up illiterate, like 80% of people couldn't even read. Mass unemployment, straight up starvation, diseases ripping through everyone. Overall, South Korea was one of the absolute poorest, most fucked up countries on the entire planet at that point. And right then, the South Korean government locks in on building up the national economy, with the #1 rule being, make shit the world actually wants to fucking buy. At that exact moment, the top brass picks out like 30 entrepreneurs, basically those somehow connected to the president's feeding trough, and throws them the wildest generosity party ever seen. Need cash? Ask for whatever, we'll hook you up. Need workers? Take them, treat them like straight up slaves, no questions asked. Women will just keep popping out more anyway. So people were grinding 20-hour days, 7 days a week, no breaks, no mercy. And to make damn sure nobody opened their mouth to complain, they straight up banned unions, outlawed strikes, and completely wiped out labor inspections. The results came fast. Koreans started dropping like flies from straight up overwork exhaustion, toxic factory conditions, and just offing themselves because the stress levels were off the fucking charts. Meanwhile, the Chaebols themselves? Zero accountability, zero consequences. They got a free pass. Everything got sacrificed on the altar of the one holy goal. Crank out products the rest of the world would actually buy and pay top dollar for. These Chaebol companies could snag government loans at minus 20% interest. Yeah, you heard that right. Negative 20%. Meaning if they borrowed 1,000 won from the state, they only had to pay back 800 won a year later. Straight up free money with a bonus. But of course there were strings attached. Up until the 1980s, these giants were flat out banned from selling color TVs on the domestic market. Why? So that 100% of production got funneled straight into exports. No local distractions, just pure grind for foreign cash. This was all done on purpose, to stop companies from raking in fat profits, just by selling easy shit to their lazy domestic market, because that could have easily derailed them from the real mission of becoming internationally competitive. And it fucking worked! Over the next few decades, Korea went from total trash dump to the 12th economy on the planet, but at what insane cost? Samsung, Hyundai, LG, Daewoo. Half the entire country's economy is clutched in the hands of just a few dozen Chaebol families and their inner circle. Chaebol. That's the Korean word for literally finance clan. That's what they called those couple dozen dudes who got handed the keys to those massive businesses back in the day. And today, all their spoiled sons and daughters are straight up drowning in luxury, laundering cash left and right, bribing cops and judges, and yeah, smacking flight attendants with iPads on the fucking planes when their nuts aren't plated right. Meanwhile, regular people, they're still grinding the same soul-crushing shifts, dying from burnout, stress, and toxic factory fumes, just like before.
Korean state birthed these Chaebol monsters, and now they control the state and the people through the corrupt judicial system.
Chaebol aren't just big businessmen. They're straight up oligarchs with more real power than any president ever had. And it's easy to see why. Look, these are the bosses of Korea's biggest companies. All of them have been chilling at the absolute top their entire lives, stacking influence and power like it's nothing, then passing the whole empire down to their fucking children in total safety and comfort. And now check out the presidents of South Korea over the last 70 years. There've been exactly 12 of them, and look what the fuck happened to every single one. Let's count on our fingers. Syngman Rhee, overthrown. Yoon Po-sun, overthrown. Park Chung-hee, assassinated. Choi Kyu-ha, overthrown. Chun Do-won, sentenced to death. Roh Tae-woo, 17 years in prison. Kim Young-sam went to prison himself. Kim Dae-jung, sentenced to death. Roh Moo-hyu jumped off a cliff and killed himself. Lee Myung-bak, 17 years in prison. Park John-hee, 24 years in prison. Moon Jae-in, quietly retired like a normal person. You're fucking kidding me, right? And of course the cherry on top, Yoon Suk Yeol, the most recent one, became headline news worldwide when he declared martial law, and then became the first president in history to get arrested first, and only after that got impeached and removed from power. By that comparison, it's crystal clear. The lives of Chaebol versus official power holders show that Korea ain't no real democracy. It's a fucking deep state oligarchy. And the cult of cash flows perfectly from the very top all the way down to the bottom. In Korea, you're only as much of a person as the amount of money in your pocket. To actually have that money, you don't grind at 100%. You gotta go 1000%, full burnout mode. And yeah, that's literally the main reason why this country's suicide rate is the highest on the entire planet. Just imagine what your life would look like if you were born in South Korea. First 3 years after birth, chill, peaceful, no stress. But right around age 4, you get thrown headfirst into Korea's sick, hyper-competitive education meat grinder. Tutors, cram schools, preschool prep, already 5 hours a day of structured torture. Then boom, first grade hits and you're studying 15 hours a day. 15 hours. That means you're literally learning every waking second. Eating with a textbook open, shitting with flashcards in hand, no exaggeration. That grind lasts the next 20 fucking years straight. Finally, you crawl out of university, degree in hand, thinking, damn, I'm so smart, so educated, only to realize nobody gives a shit. Everyone around you is just as smart and just as educated. Everyone has perfect scores, top grades, killer resumes. You're not special. You stand out for exactly 0 reasons.
I survived hell to finish uni, and now I have no clue where to even apply for a job.
To even have a shot at landing a job, you absolutely have to look flawless. So yeah, odds are you'll end up going under the knife for plastic surgery. A third of women and a quarter of men in Korea go through the scalpel at some point. In most cases, it's your own parents footing the bill, usually as a graduation gift after high school or uni. But here's the brutal truth doctors themselves admit. The best surgery is the one that never happens. And yours, no guarantee it'll turn out perfect. Okay, let's say you actually land a job, but is it really a job? Or straight up slavery with a paycheck? South Koreans call their work life 996, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. And that's the grind you're locked into until retirement hits, if you even make it that far. If you don't off yourself on the way up the ladder, don't get fired for some bullshit reason, and you play the game perfectly, boozing hard with your boss every fucking night and basically kissing his ass nonstop, then maybe, just maybe, after another 25 years of that hell, you could scrape together enough to buy your own place. And no, it's not because your salary sucks. The real problem? Housing prices in Korea are completely fucking insane. Look at this tiny ass 500 square foot shoebox apartment. They want a deranged $1 million for it. Yeah, I'd be fucking embarrassed to even dream about that kind of money in my sleep. Oh, and by the way, you probably won't have a second half either. Finding a partner in South Korea is straight up rare these days. First off, the whole culture there is built on keeping to yourself. People just don't talk to strangers or strike up random convos. Second, everyone's grinding nonstop at work. Objectively, 0 time left for anyone else. Loneliness can be depressing as fuck and legit bad for your health. Some people in that spot cop a cat or a dog to fill the void, but guess what? Even that takes time and money you barely have. So yeah, good luck with the whole love life thing when the system's designed to keep you isolated and exhausted. And you know what kind of pet requires literally 0 effort? A fucking rock. You can walk at any time. It doesn't beg for food, no vet bills, no nothing. I'm fucking serious right now. These bricks are straight up bestsellers. People buy millions of them. You're broke, lonely as fuck, day drinking, and walking your pet rock like it's the highlight of your week. But let's pretend you somehow scored a partner and managed to nest somewhere. At some point, you're probably gonna think, yo, let's have a kid. And that's the exact moment you slam face first into why South Korea currently has the absolute worst birth rate on the entire planet. Someone might hit you with, what's the big deal? Just have a baby. It's not like the kid's gonna starve or anything. Nah, starvation ain't the issue. The real terror is, deep in your gut. That your child is basically doomed to achieve jack shit in life unless you dump titanic amounts of cash into their education from day one. And it's not even just school. The golden calf money cult grabs kids before they can even talk properly.
Prices are absolutely insane. We're not talking housing here. We're talking everyday kid stuff.
Right now in South Korea, the fertility rate sits at a pathetic 0.72 kids per woman. And yeah, it's been hovering around there or dipping lower in recent years. You can flat out say the country isn't just aging horribly, it's actively dying out, straight up depopulating itself into extinction mode. Some countries plug their demographic black holes with migrants, straight up flooding the place with young, hopefully law-abiding, finger-crossed hardworking foreigners to keep the population and economy from flatlining. But in Korea, that shit is literally fucking unthinkable. Koreans themselves are next-level racists. The idea of mass immigration to save the birth rate? Nah, they'd rather let the whole country fucking die out than let in outsiders who aren't 100% pure Korean blood. No open borders, no welcoming arms, no diversity is our strength bullshit here. Just straight up ethnic gatekeeping while the population ages into oblivion. In Korea, the vibe is simple. If you're a foreigner, our doors are always wide open for you to get the fuck out. But there's no one South Koreans hate more than North Koreans, like pure burning loathing. But at least here, there's some legit reasoning behind it. Back in 2013, that chubby dumbass Kim Jong-un managed to cobble together fucking nuclear weapons. And every year since, he's been flexing with bigger tests of even nastier nukes. Gotta admit that shit's kinda nerve-wracking when it's happening just across the border. Truth is, what's even more terrifying is that the South Korean army, this dumb, inefficient paper tiger that looks badass only on spreadsheets and parades, straight up couldn't hold off a real threat if their lives depended on it. On March 6, 2025, the folks in the border village of Pyeongchang, right near the DMZ, woke up to a series of massive explosions, literally right outside their windows. Shit blew up so hard it leveled half the damn village. Mass panic, full evacuation kicked in. Everyone was convinced that this is it. New Korean War just started. That is, until they found out the bombs that flattened Pyeongchang came from their own fucking Air Force. Turns out, a South Korean pilot on a routine training exercise fat-fingered the target coordinates like a total moron. 8 MK-82 air-to-ground bombs ended up raining down on his own civilians instead of the practice range. Absolute legendary dumbass fucking move. In moments like that, regular citizens completely lose any sense of safety or trust in the system. If literal degenerates like that are trusted to fly multi-million-dollar fighter jets and drop bombs on their own people by accident, then what the fuck happens if North Korea actually launches a real attack? Life's already hell. Imagine it turning into actual war. That's exactly how most South Koreans live every day. Constant low-key dread, buried stress, and zero faith that things won't go catastrophically wrong. And of course, they polish that pain and loneliness the only way they know how, with booze. But first off, it doesn't actually help shit. Second, it's pushed South Korea straight to the top spot as the hardest drinking country in all of Asia. Soju flowing like water. So picture this. You're alone in your tiny-ass apartment. Your only real friend is a bottle of whiskey, and suddenly there's a knock at the door. You open it, and there stand these polite people holding colorful pamphlets and a Bible. Hello, have you heard about our new Unification Church? I've personally heard some wild shit. For example, their great messiah Sun Myung-moon allegedly made his followers drink holy wine laced with his own cum and piss. He straight up married off over 100,000 of his followers in those massive ceremonies, people who'd never even met each other before, and pocketed like $10,000 from each couple for the privilege. In one single hall alone, 28,000 people tied the knot. Do the math on that profit? Dude was raking it in. Bottom line, total asshole. He promised to cure people's depression and fix their souls, but really he just capitalized on their misery and turned it into cash. The US Justice Department and IRS officially confirmed that Sun Myung-moon used church donations to build himself a personal villa and buy luxury cars. He never did real jail time for it, not because God saved him, but because he was greasing the right palms with bribes. Of course, he also blew tons on polishing his public image too. Well, honestly, South Koreans are no strangers to building fake-ass gods for themselves. Just look at those pop idols. People literally worship them here like deities, but calling them role models? Nah, not even close. The infamous Burning Sun scandal proves it 100%. Turns out several of Korea's biggest, most popular idols were straight up drugging girls at the club, raping them while they were out cold, and filming the whole nightmare on camera. And they were doing this shit for years. So where the hell was the police the whole time? You'll get it when you see these clips. So basically, right outside the club doors, one Korean dude is getting absolutely fucking wrecked by another guy. This regular clubgoer spotted what the idols were up to with a drugged out girl, tried to pull her out of their little hell party, but club security dragged him outside and beat the shit out of him on the spot. Dude doesn't panic, calls the cops show up, and instead of arresting the attackers, they haul him to the station, beat him some more, and slap him with 7 bullshit charges. Only when this whole fucking mess exploded publicly did the idols finally catch heat. Before that, nobody gave a single fuck. And on top of that, secretly filming porn of people who have zero clue it's happening is basically a national fucking tradition in South Korea. They call it molka. Creeps hide cameras everywhere. Public toilets, changing rooms, love hotels, you name it. Most of that footage ends up getting uploaded straight to porn sites for the world to jerk off to. Right about now, I'd love to drop some pro tips on how to avoid having your asshole broadcast across the entire country. But real talk, there are basically no effective ways to fight mocha. The problem's so fucking massive and widespread that women, yeah, this actually happened, straight up held a massive protest rally because they're literally at their breaking point. They can't even take a peaceful piss in a public bathroom anymore without the terror of hidden cams. That's how bad it is. A whole movement born just from not being able to fucking shit or pee in a public toilet. Honestly, it pisses me off sometimes watching people clap like trained seals at those shiny Korean skyscrapers, going, wow, so developed, everything's perfect, what an ideal country. And nobody ever digs into the actual system underneath. The system is this. South Korea is a place where people flash big smiles to hide mountains of debt, shattered dreams, and daily antidepressant pills. Nobody here laughs for real anymore, but they clap extra loud so they don't hear the foundation cracking under their feet. The whole illusion of success they built themselves. This is a system where suicide isn't treated like a tragedy. It's just a side effect of ambition. Poverty? That's your own damn fault. Burnout? Not a diagnosis, just weakness. Maybe one day this whole polished facade will finally collapse. But for now, the shit show goes on. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our previous documentary about India. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.